When I say it's you, what I also say is it's you and it's everything else that has built you. In cement and in steel and in reinforced concrete, in walls 2 meters thick at ground level and 9 meters thick for the floors at the top. It's you, yes, all of this is you. I say it's you, and he says, of course it is. He has arrived at the station, he has come here to visit. I have been here in this place for many months now, and this too is something similar to building or unbuilding me. It's you, I say. He says, it's me. I tell him about them, but I don't take him to see them. I tell him they're in 3 pairs, arranged in a triangle around the inner districts. Where, he says, 2 are nearby, I say. He does not live here, and I do live here for now, so I am the one who suggests where to go. He agrees or he asks for something else. Why weren't they just taken down, he says. I tell him that the walls are too strong, that their size and their insistence means that they can't be destroyed without destroying what surrounds them. The apartment blocks, the coffee houses, the florists, and everyday lives. He says he supposes it is good that some of them are used at least. And what about being a reminder, I say? Of what, he says, if they were there to protect? I say, but I am thinking of what to say. It is to do with how colossal they are, how unbreakable, how grey, how solid, how obvious, how heavy and quiet. He wants to go to the Globe Museum, the Military Museum, and the cathedral. The cathedral is the midpoint of the triangle. And what do the children have to do with it? They are someone else's children, and they sleep. I am paid even for when they are sleeping, because what their mother and father believe is that their children are safer sleeping with me here than if they slept and I was not here. Also, that when they are awake, they are safer with me than if they played alone. He says, do you speak in English with them? Yes, I say. Their parents want them to learn. That's good, he says. They'll have an advantage. I think of a leaf, of course. What advantage does a leaf have to have been called a leaf? And are they safer to know a leaf as a leaf, or to see its wrinkles, its veins, its pulse, without names? A leaf, a stream, a shadow, or roots. I feed them on plates when they sit at the table, and then I feed them names. And what else? At the aquarium now housed within one of the towers, we watch the jellyfish, which are soft and hypnotic and hopeless. And then we watch the sharks, because the sharks are the highlight. They are not to be missed, and so we do not miss them. We gather against the glass. No one misses them. The older child buys a shark in the gift shop that is welded to the end of a plastic pole. Its mechanism allows its jaws to clamp shut when something in the handle part is pressed. The child uses the handle and the jaws to bite the lobe of her sister's ear. And her sister, the younger child, attempts to do the same. She finds she is not able to hold the pole or align the jaws with the accuracy she needs. She returns the shark to her sister, and her own ears are bitten again instead. The younger child asks, what do sharks call humans? On the outside of the tower, across one wall, are irregular plastic shapes nailed at intervals in different colours. Tiny figures, tiny as we see them from below, are using their hands and feet to clutch the shapes and are scaling upwards to the overhang at the top. They are splayed like insects against the concrete, with open bodies that push into the surface. They are embracing it or smothering it, but are too small to leave any mark on its immensity. They lean back on their ropes to descend. They are safe. When I tell him about the climbing, he says, and to you that means clinging to the past, or what? Or having the dark shame pressed into their faces, and only seeing bright colours and sky. It doesn't mean anything really, he says. It doesn't mean anything we can change in any case. I read about the black-tip reef sharks from the aquarium. The ones we saw are replacement sharks. The first ones, 6 of them, died within 9 hours of each other when they were moved from their tank to a larger one, sedated. Their fatal internal bleeding was blamed on stress. The gravel on the bed of the new tank is rubble from parts of the concrete walls. without him and without the children, I often went to where there was a maze and also a labyrinth in the palace grounds. I confused them, I always forgot which one was which. At the centre of one, there were 2 upright stones, and there were instructions on a board that had to be followed. Each person arriving at the centre from the hedge tunnels was supposed to place both arms around one stone. The larger stone was representative of a maleness. The smaller stone was representative of a femaleness. The instructions were for the finder to choose to transfer an energy to herself if she was female and embrace the smaller stone, or else to a loved one if she embraced the larger stone. And likewise, the finder could choose to transfer the energy to himself if he was male and embrace the larger stone, or else to his loved one if he embraced the smaller stone. I never touched the stones. The other maze or labyrinth, whichever it was, had no centre, and perhaps this was the difference between them. Instead, there were intersecting paths and objects and games in the clearings that joined the paths. There was a mathematical walking puzzle and a xylophone that was sounded by treading its notes so that music vibrated from underfoot. For me, the clearing that most felt like a centre was where there was a metal bird that a person could climb up inside. Its wings could be cranked by the person's legs in the hollow cage that was the body of the bird. From inside, the movement was not unlike flight. From outside, the wings beat gracelessly, and the bird was bolted securely to its baseboard. I tread lightly, although it is clear he will not wake. The carpet, the steps, the hinges of 3 doors, then outside, left and left again, to number 13 where I can look up. I know that this is not how to see, but with it so near, I cannot not come. I told him how near it was and how potentially vital, that I couldn't know if it was important to come, but couldn't ignore the chance that it was. It probably is to you, he said, but not in a way I'm sure is really helping. I'm not sure anything you've read here is helping. Next, retrace, then left, then right, then jagged left, the block where the children live, where I come in the evenings or early afternoons, where now they are sleeping and their parents are too. The parents are there, so they are the ones to come to for safety when the children are woken, by the noise of trains or dreamed things or name questions. I am too far now, they will not come to me. And over the bridge, because the tracks, in fact, are close. They do shake the windows, but for now, nothing comes. Over tracks like these, on the train back from one museum, I picked up the newspaper that has the name Heute. These are the ones I was telling you about, I said. They broke into a lecture hall where people fleeing war were performing in a play about power. Look, I said. This woman, she was one of the performers, on stage with her child, and he was 5, and she had had to leave her daughter behind. They broke in and sprayed fake blood, and she thought her son was dying too. And they say they need to protect Europe's values and identity. I said this, and he said, protection. It's where protection becomes attack. But you're taking the most extreme examples, of course, he said. Left at the bottom of the bridge's green steps, then right and at the end of this street, just across. Noch nie hat jemand behauptet, die Ungargasse sei schön. Here too I have waited in vain for meaning, and just once on the O-tram, and it had to be the O-tram, a woman sitting next to me said, "Excuse me, but I think we're somehow connected." I looked at her hands and her eyes for burning, but before I could focus on anything, she showed me. A cord from my jacket was caught in her bag, and this, as she saw it, was the extent of our connection. She pushed into the aisle and did not look back. Right and left, if you know it, you can sense it here. And behind me, one invisible straight thread that ties the number 13 to what's ahead. The road becomes a park. I bring the children here, and I first saw it here with them. While they dug with sharp twigs and turned pine cones into families, I saw it and saw the hole in its fencing. Large enough for a child, or any person, for me. So through, and I meet the rough, dead surface. I feel for the other rupture I saw. A hairline breakage, a fissure, a bolt. And this is where I reach for her at last, whatever it means for any chance of coming back.